With Chinese spy balloons being spotted over the US and Latin America, defence specialists are looking to the skies. But floating balloons are not the only risk. Above the stratosphere, satellites are now being targeted in geopolitical conflict, posing new cybersecurity challenges. Polly Thompson has spoken to experts in the field and brings us this report.
Shortly before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, one of the major satellite communication providers that was being used by the Ukrainian armed forces, Viasat, went down thanks to a destructive malware that was traced ultimately to Russia, and that suddenly set off alarm bells. The idea that Russia was doing this is a big concern.
Describing how a Russian cyber attack crippled communication across Europe, Virpratap Singh, a cybersecurity researcher at Columbia University, says that satellite infrastructure is increasingly becoming a target in geopolitical warfare. More private companies, such as SpaceX and Starlink, are launching commercial satellites. But lacking sufficient security measures, their vulnerabilities open up new opportunities for cybercrime. Thomas Rowland, a cybersecurity expert at think tank New America, explains more about the risks.
Starlink was hacked, I think, at least twice in the past year, probably more. The effects vary. You had Viasat, which is a destructive cyber attack, and had affected thousands of customers. Starlink was down for a few hours.
If a satellite goes down, daily activities, from taking out money to crossing the street, would grind to a halt. Traditionally, ransomware attacks have been used by nefarious state actors and anonymous groups to destabilize vital national infrastructure such as hospitals and government departments. The attack on Ukraine was one of the first cases of a cyber attack aimed not at ground infrastructure, but at the satellites that operate above us. Virpratap Singh says this means defense policies must be reconsidered.
Control that you need to have in place can be a little bit more open to vulnerabilities. And similarly, these satellite networks have never really been seen as a target in space. And what we've kind of seen in 2021 was that narrative change.
As space becomes a new frontier of geopolitical conflict, defense departments are working with commercial companies to respond to increased risks. In the last year, the US has approved bipartisan legislation requiring all commercial satellites to work with the Department of Defense, whilst Germany introduced a cybersecurity space framework in response to the effects felt from the Viasat hack.
We are trying to do both a sprint and a marathon, trying to develop these ecosystems so that they're more resilient over the long term. At the same time, there's a sprint to develop and protect these systems.
As Thomas Rowland says, the road ahead for cybersecurity in space is as complex as it is urgent. Polly Thompson, City News International.